Okay, puppy bone chewing. 1 second. Thank you. So in a video yesterday, we said, you are your brother's keeper. Or if we didn't say it, it was a written message that went out. You are your brother's keeper, not his judge and jury. Okay. Now, there is a line here that must be understood, okay? We must love ourselves and do for ourselves and give to ourselves. We must honor and have compassion for ourselves as much as we have that for our brothers, our sisters, our fellows, okay? So when we say that your brother is, you are your brother's keeper, you must understand that there are times when being loving is doing nothing, okay? There are times when being loving to a brother is to allow that one to do for themselves and figure things out for themselves, okay? In the world, we know there is a thing called enabling. And what enabling is overstepping healthy boundaries and doing for others what they are capable of doing for themselves, okay? So in a lot of these talks, and a lot of the messages that I receive, they say, Christ knows. Christ just knows when action is required, action is what occurs. When the Christ of you just knows. Okay. So we were taught from Jesus, we were taught that we are to love God with all of our might, mind, and strength. That we are to have no God before God. Okay. So we are to have no God before God. And in one of the recent videos, the message that came through was, fear has been your God. This is idolatry. Fear has been your God. So we see what happens when we put something before God. All right. And what that means is, in this situation I'm speaking to, when we deny God in anything. When we deny God in anything, we are saying that God cannot or is not or will not be there, when everything is God. Everything is God. There is nothing that is not God, because it will not exist outside of God. Nothing exists outside of God. God is everything. Everything, everyone, every occurrence, every situation is within God, okay? So there are a lot of different things that they've given me this morning already to discuss, and hopefully I can tie it all together here. Okay. The reason we are told to love God with all of our might, mind, and strength is, and seek ye first the kingdom. Seek ye first the kingdom means to be the Christ incarnate, to live as the Christ in the earth human experience, okay? That is what seeking first the kingdom means. Seek ye first the kingdom means to align yourself to God as fully as you are able. And that does change, and it does grow, and it does strengthen as we grow. But we are called first to seek first the kingdom, to be the Christ on earth, okay? Now the reason for that is the Christ knows. The Christ just knows when to do for someone and when they need to be left alone to do for themselves. It is not always the most loving thing to do for someone else. Sometimes the most loving thing is to hold space for them, to take a step back and just to encourage and say, you got this. I know you can do this. I believe in you. Why? So that they may succeed and then come to believe in themselves. That they may establish and grow their Christed self into manifestation. So that they might learn that they are the one that is going to save them. Okay? So just sometimes words of caution, because we have been taught in our societies to be a certain way. We have been taught what loving looks like, what to be loving looks like. We've been taught these things, and it is not always that. And that is another reason why we are being counseled so strongly these days, again, about non-judgment. Okay? You know not what it's for. Someone is in a situation that I think is awful. I think it's awful. I have no right to think anything about that situation, okay? I'm passing judgment. That's a judgment for me to say, oh, that's terrible. As a human, we have a tendency to, when we think something is awful, we want to fix it for another. We want to fix it. That is not our place in every instance. It is not our place always to jump in and be the fixer, okay? People call to themselves what they need for their growth. So they are choosing their teachers based on their alignments. So we must be the Christ incarnate. We must be the Christ in manifestation, so we know when to assist and when not to assist. Because sometimes our assistance will sabotage or will retard their growth and their learning and their expansion and their success and their empowerment. Okay, sometimes our interceding will disempower the one who needs to learn and accept and claim their own power as a child of God, as Christ incarnate. Okay? Okay, thank you. I'm food cooking at the same time, all of this. So another thing is when we are seeking first the kingdom, another thing that we have to look at is how the world has, and I know this was a big thing that was pressed upon me when I was a child, was the idea, one or other would say, you are so selfish, you are so self-centered, as a child. And it's kind of funny because, if you know children, every child is focused on their own world and they want what they want, and it's just a natural thing. Now, there is nothing wrong with being centered in self. That is different than being selfish, okay? Being centered in self means that I first and must be aware of everything I do and the motivation behind it. That is my responsibility, okay? That is my responsibility. So from that place, and that was a starting point for me, was to really analyze, and I don't encourage analyzing, but that was my process. I analyzed everything I did and the choices that I made and where that motivation was coming from. Okay, that's how I know what fear is, because I was fearful. I was making choices from fear. Many relationships I had were choices made from fear. And of course they fell away, as these things do. So when we focus on seek ye first the kingdom, when we focused on being the Christ incarnate, not what we think that looks like, what that means is you get real with yourself. You get very real with yourself. You become very, very accepting of where you are, how you are, who you are being in the world. You get you stop drawing curtains where you do not wish to see the things about you that you think are bad. All right, you open it all up, and You don't have to do it all at one time, but piece by piece, you take down the walls, you remove the curtains, you remove the veil that keeps you in secret, that keeps you hidden. And you begin to look at the different parts of you and love yourself. Love yourself. As you grow love for yourself, you become more authentic. Through that authenticity, the Christ becomes you. You just merge with the truth of you. Because once you're very authentic, there's nothing left to keep you from your truth. There's nothing left to hide your light, the light that you are in reality. The things that were taught, the false beliefs, they are left go, they fall away, and you are as you were created. Perfect. You are as you were created, the Christ. You are as you were created, the child of God. So, as we continue in these days, as we continue in the world, and the darkness seeks more of itself, love yourself. Connect with the truth of you. Connect with what is real, that the darkness does not claim you in it. Align to the light. Align to the love. Align to the things that even the things that have been difficult for you, even the things that you want to deny God in, I challenge you to glorify God even in and through those things. Even through those things. I'm not speaking blasphemy. I am glorifying God in all that I see. I am giving credit to God for everything. Everything. And know that it must be good. It must be good in some way. Perhaps beyond my human understanding. Beyond my limited focus, my limited point of attention. I know it must be good in some way because it is God. It is all God. Jesus said, "Of myself I do nothing." And even when he was on the cross said, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." Knowing that the forgiveness was not really forgiveness from the Father, but that we needed to forgive ourselves. We needed to accept ourselves. We have been taught and we have been trained and we have accepted and assimilated to that training very, very well. But it is not the truth. It has never been the truth. We are now reclaiming the truth. We are glorifying God in all that we see, in all that we do. And through this, we are loving. We are not loving as what we think love is, what we think it should look like. We are loving through that intimate connection, that authentic self that is the Christ on earth. We are not being what we think we're supposed to be. We are being what we are. And in order to do that, we must let go of everything we are not. That is the many faces of fear. That is where judgment comes from. And fear and judgment deny God. And peace and love may you be blessed.